and welcome to the Power Up Your Prep web show. I'm Trish and I'm part of the MTech team here at Edmonton Catholic Schools. This web show is designed just for educators who want to be able to learn something in a short amount of time and have some hands-on practice through video tutorials. I'm going to be guiding you through new educational technology each week. The web show is designed to be less than 30 minutes and hopefully much less than 30 minutes so that you're able to sit down with a cup of coffee during your prep and be able to have some hands-on, in-depth learning time into one specific tool and be able to use it right away in your classrooms. So I hope you're all ready to have a little bit of fun and power up your prep. Step number one, make sure you have that cup of coffee. I'm serious, this is your time. You want to be comfortable. So I'll wait, go get it. Don't worry, we're ready to get started in here.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it.
Great, you're back. Let's get started. What you're going to need for today's Power Up Your Prep web show is simply the computer you're sitting working at. We're going to be using Google Slides, but not for SlideShare. We're going to take it to a whole other level. So I hope you're ready to go. In this Power Up Your Prep episode, we're going to focus on how we can use Google Slides for more than just SlideShare. Because let's face it, there's so much more we can do in our schools, especially because SlideShare is boring. Kids don't want to make it. Teachers don't like it either. Think of our staff meetings. So how can we take it a step further? I was inspired to do something different with Google Slides by the amazing Alice Keeler, who says that she doesn't use slides to give information like death by SlideShare. She uses it to get information. So we're going to focus on how we can use these slides to empower our students to make real-life graphic designs like magazines and templates. And so I'm going to show you today a few quick and easy steps to make your own templates as the teacher, to use these step-by-steps to teach students how to make their own templates, and you're going to get a whole bunch of resources in the comment section so you can use templates that have been created by me, our friends at Black Gold, and other awesome web-based resources. So we are going to start by going to slides.google.com so that we can get going. Right, now that we're at slides.google.com, we're going to start a blank presentation. Once we started the blank presentation, we're going to note a couple of things about getting our page set up. This is a really important part to be able to do at the beginning so it doesn't wreck any of the cool templates that you start to make with your students. So as soon as we open this blank presentation, we can see that it's prompting us to use the themes. I'm going to go ahead and just close that because we're going to be customizing backgrounds. You can give your presentation a title. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be doing the page setup. You go to File. You scroll down to Page Setup. The custom default for SlideShare is using a widescreen presentation, but we have the ability to make that different. We're going to click the word widescreen and we're going to see the word custom. When we select custom, we're now able to describe what inches we would like our page to be. So I'm going to go ahead and make that an 8.5 by 11 size so that I have a magazine template that could potentially, if I wanted to, be printed. And now we can see that it's changed the size of my page. Remember to do this step first with your students or they're going to get frustrated when they've designed the page and everything moves because they do the page setup afterwards. The next step to being able to create our magazine is we're going to change our background and we're going to choose a color. Now, note that it's given us a standard title page. I like to be able to do a different layout, simply a blank layout. Or you can go ahead and just delete those text boxes so they're out of your way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to customize my background. With this slide selected, I can see that background is in the middle of my toolbar menu. I want to do a background instead of a theme because a background allows me to choose specific colors and it only applies to one slide at a time. I'm going to change that background and you can see I want to choose a color. Now the thing is I can choose any of these standard colors that come with the Google Slides or I can do a custom color. So what I'm going to be showing you, we're going to take a little pause right here and I'm going to be showing you how to use an extension called Color Pick Eyedropper that's going to allow us to take something called a hex code. What a hex code is that every color anywhere on the internet has a color code associated with it that's very, very specific. That way, if I want to choose the exact National Geographic orange, I can do that. So we're going to take a little pause in our video here because in the resources that I've put below in the comments, I have a link to the Chrome Web Store to allow you to choose the color picker. If you don't want to use the color picker for that custom code, you can skip over this part of the video and go straight from choosing just a regular standard color in the background, and then we'll move on from there. Right, so now that you've clicked the link in the hyperdoc in our comments, you can see that I've taken you to an extension called Color Pick Eyedropper. There are many color pickers that you can choose. This is just one that I really like. Now you are able to simply add it to your Chrome. You can see that I've done that. And once you install it, it's going to live as an extension up on the top of your browser bar, and you can see mine installed right here. All right, I'm ready to use my color picker. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to find the source of the color. In this particular instance, I did a Google search for National Geographic magazine. This is a great way to get your kids inspired by how is the magazine set up? What does it look like? And this is a great place for us to be able to pull some fonts as well as some color. So if I was to choose this particular National Geographic magazine as what I'm going for, I simply activate my Color Pick Eyedropper by clicking the extension in the top by the browser bar. Once I've done that, I hover my mouse and I see that I end up with some crosshairs. As soon as I get those crosshairs, I can click on the color I want and it pulls up what's called a hex code. I'm simply going to use the keyboard shortcut Control-C to copy that hex code. And now I can close this. I go back to my Google Slides. Now I'm on my background selection and I can see the word color. I don't want to use one of these standard colors, I want a custom color, so I'm going to choose custom. You can see it pops up a menu of which to be able to select a hex code. I'm going to go ahead and use the keyboard shortcut Control-V, and I'm pasting in the hex code that my color picker found for the National Geographic magazine. I say OK, and done. Now my background is the perfect National Geographic gold. You can do this for any type of magazine you're trying to make. I'm now going to show you how to add a shape. If I go back and I look at the Google search I did at my National Geographic magazine, I can see that there's an image, but do you see that nice white border that's around the image? We can be able to make that simply by a little bit of a hack of doing some layering. We're going to add some shapes and we're going to add some images on top of each other. So if I go back to my template, I'm simply going to be using my shape tool. I'm going to choose my rectangle, and then I'm going to draw my rectangle where I'd like it to go on my magazine. I can move this around with my arrow keys or my mouse to get it in that perfect position. I can resize as I see fit. Now what I want to do is make sure that that shape is filled with the color I want the border to be. So with the shape clicked on it, a bucket, a fill color, will appear in the middle of your toolbar, and you can go ahead and select the color that you're going to want your border to be. It's time to add an image to your magazine. If I go back to my Google search where I was looking at the different National Geographic magazines, I can see that the image is the prominent feature of the front cover. And we want our students to be able to put some nice images on their magazine. The great thing is that I can use the search feature right within National Geographic, my template here, because Slides has that built in. I'm going to click the image button, and I can see it gives me many options. I can go ahead and upload one, take a snapshot with my webcam, upload my albums, or search in my Google Drive. But I'll notice that there's a search button here. What's great about the search within Google Slides is that it's already been filtered for Creative Commons copyright-free images so that our students are following the rules of being a good digital citizen. So I'm going to search for Iroquois people. Now students can go ahead and look through the different pictures that they have selected, and choose one that's going to work for their particular magazine. They can choose a historical photo. They can choose art images. My pro tip for you is to have your students choose an image that has a vertical orientation rather than a horizontal orientation so it fits with the page setup on their magazine. When you insert the image, it will retain the link for the Creative Commons. Now, I can simply drag my corners and resize my image. Now, if you don't want your image to get skewed, my pro tip for you is to hold the Shift key down while you're dragging from the corners so that it moves it in perspective. Now you can start to see that I want to adjust my magazine template so it all lines up. This is where I can simply start to move things around, put things on the page exactly how I want it to go, and be able to design how that front magazine is going to look like. All right, I have my image set up and my front cover set up. I've lined up my picture and my border so that it looks good, and I'm ready to add some text. Now, we want to be able to add a title onto our page, and we're going to be using two steps. We're going to be using the Insert Word Art feature, but before we do that, I want to talk to you about a really cool extension to find a specific font. As we know, the National Geographic magazine has a specific font that they use for their title. We can see it here. And there's an extension called What the Font that we're going to be able to use in order to select that font. In the comment section below where I have our resources, you will find the link to the Chrome Web Store to be able to find what font and be able to add it to your toolbar at the top. Go ahead and do that now. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. You can select the font to be anything you want it to be. Now that I've installed what font, I'm able to open up the image of the magazine, and I can see my extension in the top in my browser bar called What Font. As soon as I activate it, I can hover over any font and it will tell me exactly what that font is so that I can match it inside of my Google Slides. In this case, it's Times New Roman for the title. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that when I insert my word art. This what font can be used for any type of website. Now that I know my title is going to be Times New Roman, I'm going ahead and I'm going to insert word art. I want to insert word art because I would like to be able to manipulate it on my page in a different way that I could do with the text box. So I'm going to say insert and word art, and I'm going to type the word national. Now you can see the great thing is it's a transparent background. I don't end up with that rectangle that's normally around a text box. I can move it where I'd like it to go on the page. But also what I can do is I can actually change the font of this word art. I know that I'm looking for Times. I can also change the fill color of this word art simply by clicking the fill color bucket, and I can make that white. If I'd like, I can increase the border of this particular font. I can choose the color of the line, and I can also choose the weight of it to see how that's going to look on the page. You can have the kids go back and forth between the National Geographic actual magazine and theirs to say, oh, well, this looks more like this, or there actually isn't a border on it, so that it has just the white like this. Again, I can resize my particular title by holding the Shift key to keep that skew from happening and put it where I'd like on the page. I have national, and now I'm going to go ahead and add geographic. I'm going to use that same process again. Insert word art. I'm going to select my font. I'm going to select my fill color. And I'm going to make sure that my border color is transparent. And this one I want bigger than the national word because that's how they do it on the magazine. And there's my start with my wording on my magazine. Now that I'm able to add some text, this is going to be where your students can start to create those areas that they're going to add more information for. Now we're going to explore being able to use text box. If you want to continue to use the word art, you can. I just want to be able to show both. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose a text box, and I'm going to place it on my page. Here's where the students can start to type those different features that they're going to be talking about within their special National Geographic magazine. Because I'm looking in this case at the National Geographic focus of the Iroquois peoples of Canada, I'm going to go ahead and put some of that information that students might typically study, like perhaps the Iroquois Confederacy consensus. Now that I've typed those different things, you can see it's very hard to see, so let's customize our text box. I'm going to go ahead and select the text that I just typed. I'm going to choose the font. I use my font picker to know that I'm looking for Helvetica New for the internal contents of my National Geographic magazine. I can also go ahead and change the font color, and I can change the font size. I can drag my text box so it's bigger, and I can also change the justification of the font that's on this particular text box. Now it's starting to look more like a magazine. Don't forget to remind your students to be able to go back to their original Google images to see for some of those little details of what they'd like to include in their magazine. For example, we can see that there's different sizes of fonts. They've gone ahead and used that National Geographic Gold for some of the words. We're also going to look at how can we add some images as details, and finally a barcode. So allow the students to play around with that toolbar to be able to do things like customize specific colors. If I want to change one of these fonts to that color I have been using, the great thing is that custom hex code color is stored as part of this project. Now, if I want to add a detail, like perhaps this is a special edition, I can go ahead and do that within my image search. What's wonderful is we can search for a word like special edition, but if you use the word PNG, what it's going to search for is images that have a transparent background so we don't end up with rectangles all over our page. You can see that I have that transparent background, and I'm able to resize this, put it where I'd like to on my page. I can even use this little dot here to turn that around, and it just adds that extra little features for the kids to make it look very real. I can do the same thing with my barcode. I insert an image, I select a barcode, and now I can go ahead and I can choose which one I feel like is going to work well, knowing that I'm able to use these barcodes Creative Commons and copyright free. Now this particular barcode showed up so that it doesn't have a white background. Kids can go ahead and select which one is going to work for them and put that right on their magazine. They can also give themselves some attribution on the front of their magazine by being able to insert a text box saying that they're the ones that have created it. Students can continue to add those special little details, such as perhaps a shape, to be able to put which edition this is. They can put the shape right above their barcode, and they can go ahead and double click to type in it, and we can call this the September issue. Now to make it more realistic, I can change the font color to white, and I can change the fill color of this particular image, the shape, to black. I can adjust it and move it how it properly should go on my page and put that right above that barcode. And now it'll look much more like this particular one that I see in my example. The last things I want to share with you is how we can take our magazine and make it interactive, and that's by being able to add links. We can be able to link something to another page within our magazine, or we can also link it to an outside website. So for example, if I want to link the Who Are the Clans, I can select the words, and I can use the shortcut Control-K, or I can also hit the link button found in the menu bar. Once I do that, it's going to want to know, do I want to link to an outside site? I can paste that here, or I can also link to slides in this presentation. I'm going to go ahead and click Who Are the Clans on slide 2 and apply. Now if I don't like this blue text and I want to stick with my theme, don't forget you can just select the words again and go to your menu, and you have that beautiful custom color that you previously chose with your hex codes. I can do that also for outside websites, perhaps the Iroquois Confederacy consensus. I'm actually going to want to be able to link that to the Wikipedia page for the Iroquois Confederacy. I'm going to copy this site, And then when I'm on my magazine template, I'm going to click link, and I'm going to simply paste, Control V, that website and apply. Once again, I'm going to select my words and put that color back to the theme that I want so that my magazine still looks professional. That's it. You did it. You created your very first magazine template. Now I know that might seem a little bit fast, but for the purposes of this video, you can actually go back, rewatch certain pieces, you can pause, you can try again and again if you want. You can also use this video for your students if you want to have a video playing to show a demonstration. Now, just for you today, because we want to give you the goodie bag for your Power Up Your Prep, is we have some resources to help you today. And you're going to be able to find those resources in the comment section. And here's what you'll see. You're going to not only get this particular template, when you click the resources in the comment section, you're actually going to see a Power Up Your Prep hyperdoc. And what will be on here is actually all of the different things we talked about today. You'll be able to get the color pick eyedropper, the what the font extension. You're going to see the copy of this particular magazine template that I just made live in front of you. And then we have another 5 templates for you, and these were made by myself as well as our friends at Black Gold and another web resource. And so you're going to see things like being able to just have your magazine template. There's a whole bunch of different generic templates that you can put in. You will be able to see the Time Magazine template, the Renaissance Magazine template, the Butterfly Magazine, as well as Aztec Worldviews. And these are just a few of those different types of magazines that you could make to inspire your students to go beyond just doing a standard SlideShare presentation for social studies. Now that's it. We did it. It's been less than 30 minutes, and I hope that this has helped you power up your prep, and I'm excited to have been part of your day. If you have a request for more episodes, there's also a Google form in the comments below, and please feel free to request an episode, and I will do my very best to film that for you. But for now, I hope you have a great day. Bye, everybody.